let's take a listen at this video clip, part 2, between Bassem Youssef and Chris Cuomo. He completely destroyed him. Let's take a listen.
And this is another thing that I want you to do, Chris, because nobody talks about this. The Hannibal Directive and how Israel has messed up this has been talked about for months in Israel, and not a single American news person have talked about this. And let's talk about, okay, now, you know what? I will talk to you as an American funder. My tax money funds that war. And we fund Israel for a very important thing, to keep Jewish people safe, right? We need to keep Jewish people safe. When October 7th happened, the response time was 6 hours. Now, just for people who don't know the Middle East, Israel is as big as New Jersey. Yes. It is that small and that horrible. And if you have a small, in a place that small, they have more military bases and airfields more than Manhattan has Starbucks.
So why do you think it was so slow?
I don't know, but like I'm telling you, I don't know. If I cannot stop the war, at least as someone who financed that, I need a performance report. They took 6 hours to move in something that shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. 6 hours. Did they stop to ask for directions? Were they they're taking the scenic route?
You are suggesting that they wanted it to go.
I don't know. I am asking you as a performer, why are we why are we not talking about the failure of that state that we finance and
because they're in the midst of crisis.
Look, no. When we in the middle of the crisis, you can evaluate the people that you are financing. 26 billion, and also
we never do that.
And also, like crisis,
we never do that.
I'm sick and tired of this, Chris.
We never do that. Bassem, just so you know,
they cannot play the victim and the oppressor in the same time. They have been crying for 8 months.
I would argue that Israel is the only place that can argue both at this.
Okay, so I'll play the video in a second, more of it. So basically, Chris Cuomo is not giving us any example, not giving us any data when he said that U.S., they do not evaluate the aid they give to a foreign country, in this case Israel, or it could be Egypt or any other country. So they do not evaluate. Okay, so I agree with that. But what is your proof? I can agree with this because I have to be a fool, to believe you. But for a smarter person, a wiser person will ask Chris, what is your evidence? What you can tell about this? Tell me more. I want to learn more. Oh, so you are saying that U.S. never checks, all those countries' economy and how they're spending their aid and money? Okay, give me some example. But Chris Cuomo is here. He's expressing his opinion in a subjective way. All throughout this interview, he is being completely shut up by Bassem Youssef, and you will see Chris Cuomo is changing the topic just to avoid any kind of humiliation.
Same time. No. They are both David and Goliath.
No. Okay,
Chris,
but we never do that, Bassem, just so you know.
They cannot play the victim and the oppressor in the same time. They have been crying for 8 months.
I would argue that Israel is the only place that can argue both at the same time.
No.
They are both David and Goliath. They are the strongest in the region. They are also the most hunted in the region. They are a small group of people been kicked out of all the surrounding countries. They are left in one. And they are very strong in that one.
Israel is.
Where did all the Jews go in the other countries?
Israel, I can tell you exactly how that happened, but like Israel is like a serial killer who is bitching about a paper cut while he's on a killing spree. That is what Israel is. They, the whole most hunted. When Iran.
How often is a serial killer surrounded by people who want to kill him?
Really, they are surrounded by people who protected him. Like when Iran sent the drone attacks. Where do you think the flights that actually intercept? They came from Arab countries that are friends from Israel. The biggest military power in the region is Egypt. Did you see Egypt firing a single missile towards Israel? Jordan, Saudi Arabia. Do you see? You're talking about Hezbollah and Hamas, two militant groups.
You really believe that Egypt is an ally of Israel?
It's not an enemy.
Okay, so just see what Chris Cuomo is doing here. Okay, so he was caught off guard. I mean, he's being caught off guard all the time. He doesn't have any guard. But he was talking about, okay, so Egypt, they are after Israel. Jordan, they're after Israel because Israel is the most hunted country in the Middle East. And then when Bassem Youssef is giving him one after another example of how Israel is not being hunted by these countries, in fact, they are there, countries like Egypt, Jordan, to protect Israel, he's now changing the topic. I mean, Chris Cuomo doesn't have any rebuttal. He doesn't know how to respond to what Bassem Youssef is saying. And the reason for that is because he knows Bassem Youssef is speaking the truth. He doesn't have any data to back his claim, Chris Cuomo. So he doesn't use any data. He's just using his opinion and changing the topic all along. This is something that I think this twerp, Chris Cuomo, he should be giving up his Tart back journalism.
Are surrounded by people who want to kill him.
Really? They are surrounded by people who protected him. You know, like when Iran sent the drone attacks, where do you think the flights that actually intercept, they came from Arab countries that are friends from Israel. The biggest military power in the region is Egypt. Did you see Egypt firing a single missile towards Israel? Jordan, Saudi Arabia. Do you see? You're talking about Hezbollah and Hamas, two militant groups.
You really believe that Egypt is an ally of Israel?
It's not an enemy.
Well, that's not the same thing.
No, it's not an enemy because you're telling me everybody.
Are you my friend or you're not my enemy?
No. You're telling me they're hunting. I don't see Israel hunting. I don't see Egypt hunting Israel or Jordan hunting
not
Israel.
Not right now. They have in the past.
So basically,
and if it weren't for the United States, Israel
now,
would have taken out
I feel.
Egypt.
Well, actually, you know that Egypt takes aid from America in order for Israel's security. You understand how much Israel is costing us? And let's talk about America again for a second. You have a joint session from Congress inviting Netanyahu, a war criminal, someone with a global approval rate what's worse than Satan. And then you bring them here. While the whole world telling you this is a war criminal, you have people going on pilgrimages to Tel Aviv to tell Netanyahu that we're very sorry for Biden is not supporting you enough. And who are these people loyal to? Are they loyal to the United States or are they loyal to the people who pay for their elections? You have an AIPAC bragging about spending $100 million and having a 98% success rate in the Congress. How is not that the main news in every single newscast? All of those comedians who think that they're tough people talking about America first, talking about making fun of everything. Isn't that enough material about talking about an effect of a foreign country in our elections?
It should all be on the table. One sad thing for me is when you start getting into money in American elections, there's so many deep pockets now. Because of what we have made legal,
Okay, so you do not have to tell us that thing, Chris Cuomo. This is not information. You know, if you're in U.S. politics, money will come this way, money will come that way. We all know it, Chris Cuomo. You have to say something that we do not know. You have to rebuttal. You have to respond to the guest you have invited to really humiliate you. You're not doing none of those. You're talking about now take a look at his tone. It changes so much. He is becoming so softer, Chris Cuomo, with his tone. He's let's talk about US politics. US politics is dirty and this and that. Chris Cuomo, we were expecting a tough response from you when Bassem Youssef is destroying you on your show. This is not what we were expecting. Take a look, listen one more time at Chris Cuomo's tone, how it becomes so soft now.
Talking about making fun of everything. Isn't that enough material? About talking about an effect of a foreign country in our elections?
It should all be on the table. One sad thing for me is when you start getting into money in American elections, there's so many deep pockets now. Because of what we have made legal. The problem in our politics, for the first time ever, is not illegal money, illegal influence.
It's legal.
Legal money and legal influence. I got to jump. I appreciate you ceding.
At this point, he's done. Chris Cuomo is done. He doesn't have anything else to say. He doesn't have anything else to share. So he's like, yeah, thank you so much. And look at the body language of Bassem Youssef. He's so humbled. He's not someone who is arrogant. He was there just to express his opinion with facts backed up with evidence and data and all that. But nevertheless, he's very, very humble. And this Tart back journalist, Chris Cuomo, this twerp, really has no rebuttal whatsoever in this. The entire interview was 20 minutes long, but he just embarrassed himself. This is what Chris Cuomo did in this interview. I think he should be next time very, very careful and do his own homework before inviting any